Oh, yes, we're live. Ugh. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the International Writers Fellowship on this wonderful day, 15th of January 2024, in which none of us at all is completely frazzled by anything ever.
Never.
I'm perfect.
Oh, what?
You are perfect.
Oh. Hi. How's everybody doing?
Well, it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the States, so we're taking a well-deserved third day off this weekend, which is lovely. Yeah. That's apparently I am discombobulated because I had all this stuff to talk about, and now I'm like, hi.
Yeah. Well, so today has been a fine day. Well, it's been a busy day, but nothing I can't handle because I am busy. That's just my life. But I just realized that I put the bedding in the laundry earlier, and my wife, very unreasonably, as far as I'm concerned, wants to go to bed.
It's 9 p.m. UK time.
It's 9 p.m. Yeah, and the problem is I put it all in the tumble dryer, and it hasn't completely dried yet.
It hasn't tumbled.
So it's like, damn me for trusting technology. It's not a mistake I make very often. But yes, so it's been a long day. I started off with an interview with a nerd magazine.
That's exciting.
Followed by a full day of counselors, a client, should I say. Followed by this, followed by starting at 1 a.m. I've got a panel on the Marvels.
Are you staying up until 1 a.m.?
Well, there's no point going to bed. No, I'm staying up until 2 a.m. because it doesn't. Yeah.
And what time do you start your day tomorrow?
I'm a chronic insomniac anyway, so I make a point of starting late regardless. So around about lunchtime. So long enough, but yeah, it's been a day. It's been a day.
Well, what are some wonderful things that you can do for yourself that will make the evening better going into your 1 a.m. extravaganza?
I'm glad you asked because here we are.
Are we the thing that makes it better?
Of course you are.
Aw, that's cute.
Shall we get on with cards?
Let's get right into it.
Do we want a deck that the channel hasn't seen before, or do we want the nice cute jet deck that Erica, I don't think you've seen before? Have you seen the Cozy Witch deck?
I have not.
Have you seen the Marvel deck?
I have not.
Is there any particular one of these you'd be interested in seeing?
Not Marvel. Who said that?
Okay, not Marvel. Okay, fair enough. We'll leave Marvel for a time when Ember's not here.
I'm also misnaming people. Yes. I mean, wait, Dan. Whoa. I took my meds today. My brain should be working.
Yeah, well, I took my meds today, and that's partly why then my brain isn't working.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's ADD.
Maybe. Or epilepsy doesn't have quite the same ring to it.
Yeah, you need to find a jingle.
Yeah.
You can't take mine.
I'll bear that in mind. Anyway, so this is from the Everyday Witch Tarot, which has got very cute pictures like witches doing yoga.
So it's me.
Basically. And I just hope they're going to be... this deck is going to be kinder to me today than it was on... Was it Friday, Thursday? Whichever day we last did it, because...
Erica, you missed it. The tarot was just subtweeting him all over the place.
Yeah, because we did 3 cards because, we all had one. We all had new decks, and it was like, let's show... And it's like, no, just leave me alone. I can't.
They were all like, Dan. Yeah, Dan.
On Thursday, my very last client and I, we pulled cards from 2 different decks, and like, what do we need for the year? Like that was the question that we asked, and one was a dragon deck, and one was I can't remember the name of the deck. but they have like little quotes on them. So it's not like they're just like a little quote deck.
Mhm.
And my clients' 2 cards went together like
Cards
woo,
Against Humanity.
woo woo magic. My 2 cards went together woo woo magic, and they were both the things that, like, mine was very much what I am hoping for this year, like kind of yeah, I can't even remember what they were now, which is, I'm kind of frustrated with myself, but it's very cool when that happens.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. But also kind of terrifying.
Terrifying. I'm the worst. Okay.
I salute you. That was
That was
That
like
was
dad
pretty-
joke level.
That
It was
was-
pretty gnarly.
terrible, and I approve.
All right, what do the
Anyway.
cards have in store for us today?
The cards have a very nice one. They have the 3 of Pentacles.
Oh, thank goodness. The Pentacles are my friend.
So,
That's the Apprentice, right?
if this card shows up in a reading, it is an indication that you are either presently involved with others in a way that requires cooperation, or you soon will be.
Dan.
This is almost always a good thing and a gift to be appreciated. Who are you working with, and are you doing your best to be part of the team? Is there anything you can do to make the interaction go more smoothly? Is there someone who is not working well with others? If so, what is your best way to deal with this fact in a productive and useful manner?
That is such an interesting card to have pulled, actually, just given that we're trying to get back on track for January. There's 3 of us here.
Yeah,
2 female-identified people and 1 man.
The pictures are.
Jane the cat is on the couch, as usual.
I just love these pictures. I really do like this tarot deck. It's just cute and, well, just cute.
So I appreciate that card, because I think it's sort of a hello to all of us for
Yeah,
getting back
absolutely.
together and getting the stream running and all that fun stuff. Hopefully some folks show up today, because I blasted it all over my social channels, and if nobody's here, then that means that nobody pays attention to me, which is, a Capricorn's worst nightmare. We're like Leos, but less annoying, I think.
No,
Maybe
thank
more
you.
annoying.
I'm a Leo.
Less annoying.
That tells you everything, doesn't it? It tells you everything you need to know.
You know what? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't keep company with many Leos. This is new territory for me.
Well, let me do a very good job of putting you off. But yes, I agree. I think the fact that there's 3 on the card, they're all working together. They're all it's nice, and there's 3 people. We're going to be talking about things today, doing things together, and yeah, it's nice. It's sweet.
It is sweet. What do you think, Erica?
I like it. I like the collaboration. Like, I don't know. I am not I have like 3 different train tracks going through my head at the same time. I'm trying to figure out which one to like jump on. So after being diagnosed with ADHD, I've been doing a lot more research on it. And I always thought that executive functioning was like a singular thing, like was one thing.
Oh no, it's not.
I've learned recently, no, it's not. I've learned recently it's like multiple different things. So like there's organization and task initiation and attention and planning, and like it's all of these different things, right?
Oh, okay, I'm back.
And so like for me, in looking at all of these different things, like there are some that I'm really good at. So like organizing, I can organize crap. I'm a good organizer. Planning depends on what it is. Task initiation, I suck at. And so like for me, I'm trying to figure out how to use the ones that I'm strong in with my weaker ones. But all of that to say, when I have people to collaborate with, it's so much easier for me on especially task initiation, because that is my biggest struggle with executive functioning. That was a really long explanation.
No, it was actually really enlightening, because I have not been happy since we stopped streaming regularly. I mean, I've been fine, but like, I missed that because that was my writing time, and it got me to Rishatukas and like sit there and do the thing. And I feel you, and I appreciate you breaking it down in that way, because I'm struggling with managing my ADD right now, and it's like, is it winter? Is it, it's just, it comes and goes, right? Like sometimes you're really with it, and sometimes you're like, I should pick that thing up off the floor that's been there for 3 days. That's a poor example.
Yes, but it's all the way down on the floor.
I know. I live with a little person. He's always leaving crap on the floor. I'm always like bending over and picking things up.
My grandma, before she passed away, I think I had to have been in high school, maybe. This was a really long time ago. But she gave me a magnet, and it was still on my refrigerator, and it said something to the effect of, if God would have wanted us to pick things up off the floor, he would have put diamonds on it. Or something like that.
Nothing more practical than that.
I mean, I thought it was funny. I was like, thanks, Grandma.
Normally having a mess.
Giving me permission to not clean up. I like that.
Doesn't have to be tidy. People live here.
How's everybody doing writing-wise?
Some books.
I have currently 0 words for the month of January.
Same.
Okay, well, in that case, I'm doing not too bad. I finished that story that I submitted unfinished. I told you about that, didn't I?
Yeah, that was a fun story.
So years ago, there's a call for submissions for an anthology about mermaids.
Okay.
And years ago, there was a similar anthology call for stories about mermaids, and I wrote the story, submitted it, and it didn't get accepted, but fair play. I thought, okay, I'll dig that one out and I'll submit it again, polish it, and I realized that I hadn't finished it. I'd written beginning and I'd written the end, but the fight scene, the big thing with the stabby and the killy and the meh, no, it just wasn't there.
And the thing that you like to write the most, which is what I find the most funny about this story, is that you wrote all of the setup and all of the follow-up, but none of the actual thing that you adore writing.
Well, that's how it happened, because I'm very much the same with my food. Leave the best till last. Oh. And so I write all the stuff that I don't enjoy. That way, it's like, okay, yeah, here we go. Time, get ready. And then my brain just must have gone, well, that's that finished. Let's move on. So I've been back and finished that off. Oddly enough, it's not as fighty as I was expecting it to be. It kind of became sit back and watch the fighting rather than experience the fighting. But at least it's finished. So now I've just got to let it percolate for a week or so and go back and edit it. I'm also trying to get Erica to join Amber and myself on writing terrible tarot stories.
I will not be writing a terrible tarot story. I will be writing a good tarot story, but I am drawing a blank on ideas. So,
not though, because the idea you came up with on the other day was perfect, and I loved it, and I need to read that story.
Okay, I am like segueing into the TBR pile discussion. I am currently reading the Jungian archetypes of the tarot, which I don't have with me right now. I could go grab, but that's not very good TV. Because I brought a stack of like books to talk about today, and it's not in my stack. But I'm reading that in order to gain some more inspiration and just sort of chew on the idea of the tarot. And I read the foreword the other day. It was really interesting. So do recommend. I've been enjoying like poking through it a little bit. I intend to just read it start to finish and go through all the major and minor arcana, which I also think will make me a better tarot reader. So not that I'm poor at it right now. I'm actually like a creepily accurate tarot reader, but
Yeah.
so.
I like Jungian therapy. I'm not trained in it, but it does speak to me in many ways. You know, the Nekia, the catabasis. You know, my practice name is Monomyth Counseling, for crying out loud. I mean, you know,
I mean, of all the fathers, unfortunately, just fathers of modern psychology, I feel like Jung is the one we have not decided is just full of it. You know, Freud, we've more or less been like,
yeah, but alas, the problem with Freud is that some of the shit he came up with was on the money. That's the problem. It would be great if he was just, because he's just a vile individual. It's like, no, I'm not condoning this.
Well,
it's
he
like,
mostly treated like wealthy, young, aristocratic women. Like his understanding of humanity was very narrow, societally, racially. Like, we are not a psychology discussion group, but we happen to have the three people who studied psychology. So
no, I was going to say, are we sure we're not a psychologist?
I guess we kind of are. Like, we're writers and we talk about writing in books, but yeah, 3 out of 5 of us have studied psychology, so that's a thing. I am not a therapist. Those two are. That there we go. Those two are. I just undergrad. Not for me.
I have so I am not Jungian, and I've been to one Jungian training, but it was very interesting. And had I not been on the play therapy board when we brought him, I probably wouldn't have gone, because it's just not my theory. It's not my way to practice. It's way too non-directive for me. I am not a non-directive clinician. And it's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I will report back with more findings from this book, because it's cool. And I learned about the history of tarot too, which is interesting.
I don't know. I looked at it and thought, is this? I don't know. You have to give us some feedback on it, because it looks cool, but at the same time, it just looks like it's using tarot as a gimmick for discussing the archetypes. And
no, it's very respectful about, like, this is not an exact science. This is my take on it using this modality, you know. And he obviously has a deep love of the practice of tarot and of Jungian psychology. So, I think as a point of interest, it's a very good read. And yeah, I didn't know that tarot started out as a court game during the Renaissance. So today I learned, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Well, and I knew it was sort of the basis of the modern card deck, right? So, you know, spades, hearts, clubs, or clubs, spades.
Clubs, yeah.
Clubs, diamonds, hearts, and
spades.
Spades. There we go. Used to be the 4 aspects of the tarot, I think. And in the Joker and the King and the Queen. So I think that's distilled into modern playing cards. And, you know, someone can jump on me in the comments on Twitch if I'm wrong. But yeah, I'll come back with more findings. But let's move into the book discussion, because I am excited. So we're going to be talking about things that we have recently read or are reading, things that are in our ever-growing TBR, and things that inspired us to be writers. So Red Rover, send Dan on over. What you got for us? So let's start with recently read and or currently reading. Since
I love that you say that you're really excited. Okay, Dan, you can go first.
Well, because I just have been talking about stuff. I mean, I can go. I can start the conversation.
Well, I've just realized that I don't have the book that I'm currently reading with me. So yes, you start the conversation.
I'll start the conversation while Dan walks away.
Yeah, too right.
Well, I'm gonna grab mine.
I'm gonna sit here and sing a song.
Hey, does that mean we get a free song and dance every time people leave the room?
I'm not talking to an empty room. That just feels silly. Like,
I know, doesn't it? Nobody would do that.
don't at me right now. So I'll kick it off. I just finished reading The Night Circus. Finally, I had fun story about. We have like cute different. So this mine has the cute little cutout. This is the NYT bestseller version. And anyway,
I am learning. So I'll talk about my author in a little bit, but like UK has different covers
And titles sometimes.
and I need like my favorite author, like I want all of them. And so I find myself, I just may have purchased the third version of, no, fourth. It will be the fourth version of this one book because it got a UK cover on it. I'm like, I don't need 4 copies of the same freaking book. And yet I have it now.
Erica,
don't.
I am so glad that you are in this group because it means that I am not the worst. I am not the most helpless case. I cannot tell you how it makes me feel.
You're in good company.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy to be that for you, Dan.
Because I don't have any issues about buying books at all.
Sorry, Ember.
Oh, it's okay. So I fell off of reading in a big way. I spent most of 2023 not reading, and whenever I would sit down to read a book, I couldn't focus. A friend sent this to me, and it was a used book and had a lovely note in it, and she just said, like, she knew I was going through it last year and that I needed something comforting. So I've been reading it in drips and drabs, and I will say that the first half of it is kind of slow, but the imagery is really lovely, the concept is really lovely, and it's kind of like this, some authors just do this, like they set up and they set up and they set up and they set up and they set up, and then you get to sort of like the last third of the book and everything just goes whoosh. And so I finished like this much of the book yesterday because I just got to the part where it happened, and then I was like, I have to know everything. But I have to also say, as a person who works in graphic design and branding, that the cover is everything. Like, the whole book has themes of red and black and white and gray, and it makes me want to have like more of a color story in my own writing so that it can just feel this cohesive, because like I said, from a branding standpoint, this is just chef's kiss, like so satisfying. But yeah, Night Circus, I finally finished it. I enjoyed it, and now I'm looking for someone to pass it on to, because I feel like this book needs to go to a new person now. Like, it doesn't need to stay in my library. It needs to be an ongoing, moving thing since I got it used.
See, Night Circus to me was one of those books where I read other books at the same time purely to make it last longer. Because I haven't read much in the way of romance, and the romance in this was romantic. It wasn't just, lust and sexual tension. It was like, oh my god, it's so nice.
But see, it took too long to get to the romance, in my opinion. Like, I wanted the romance now. And now that I've gotten through it, I kind of get it. But definitely my interest peaked once there was.
Yeah, and their different magic systems and everything. I loved it so much. Oh, yeah. We have somebody in the chat. Hello, Dreaming Truth. Welcome.
Hello.
We are talking about books that we are reading, have read, have inspired us, intend to read, etc. And Amber is just telling us about the one that she's just finished reading and which I adore. I love this so much, which is on the shelf in front of me, so I can just pick it up.
It is lovely. I mean, if a book ever was a vibe, The Night Circus is a vibe. Like, down to, the circus smells like caramel and wood smoke, and this, it's just, it follows these characters for so long. It's like a really lovely story. So it's definitely cozy. It's definitely a good winter read. Would recommend. Just for me, a little slow in the beginning.
She's written another one. Is it Starless Sea or something like that? Which again I've got, but I haven't read it simply because time.
Yeah, she's she's so talented. Like I would read more from her. But
I mean,
Dan, what are you?
Considering this is her first ever novel.
That's her first ever. Yeah, that's what I hope my fantasy novel is when I finally publish it. People go, "Where has this person been forever?" But we'll see.
Yeah. So what am I reading at the moment? Well, to be honest, now that you've mentioned The Night Circus, I suspect I'm going to be reading that again.
Reread.
Yeah, I don't reread ever. Can't remember last time I reread a book. But yeah, just because it's just at least as you say, when the romance starts, just to see them together, because they
just
yeah.
I can't words.
Should we let you get a room?
No, it was just so sweet. It was so like lovely, and I haven't cracked into reading like spicy romance yet. I mean, it's definitely on my to-do list. But yeah, I mean, just like there are no sex scenes, but like it is intense. I don't know. It's weird. I'm gonna stop talking about sex now.
On people.
Not a prude. Just like.
Yeah, so what I'm reading at the moment is you mentioned Cozy Reads. It's a book called Legends and Lattes.
On my TBR.
Yes.
I am
Me too.
I'm working through it very slowly. Again, because I kind of just want it to last. It's just very cute, and I know what I'm not a problem. I don't have a problem with. Sorry, Dreaming just asked, is it fantasy romance? It's historical romance with fantasy elements. It is how I would describe Night Circus.
Yeah, well, it takes place like in our world, but there's magic kind of running underneath the surface of everything. So I would categorize it as sort of a fantasy romance.
Oh yeah, fantasy realism maybe.
Magical fantasy
realism. Turn
of the century, so like lots of petticoats and pretty dresses, and like I said, just like a feast for your imagination. Yeah. Very so much going on, but the romance doesn't kick in until much later in the story, which was my bummer about it. But Legends and
Lattes is fantasy romance, though, right?
Yeah. Well, it's fantasy, and I believe it's leading towards romance. I know what happens, so I'm not going to. Maybe in the chat in case someone wants to check that. Do you know what, Dreamy? That is not a bad shout.
I'm actually going to be posting a blog up on my website, robotsandmagic.com, later on today. So if you want the full list of everything we talk about, I will have that up.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that then, because even if it comes up on the website, even if it comes up on the screen, you won't be able to click it, will you? So
yeah, I can include links to the Amazons or whatever. But yeah, I will definitely write this all down so that you can keep up later, because I hate to be like hearing book recommendations and taking furious notes and then I stop listening because maybe she's born with it, maybe it's ADD. But Dreaming Truth, thank you for joining us and being so active. It's nice to have. It's nice to have you here.
Oh wow, there's a new cover on, but I'll just pop it in the.
I also read that I keep getting distracted. That Night Circus may have a movie coming, and I will tell you, like, so many scenes in my head were really cinematic.
Yes.
That movie writes itself. So I'm like, please let there be a movie, but then don't let it be disappointing, because I want to see. I want to see the circus. I want to see it. I want to see the kissing.
Yes, I want to see the ice tent. The ice tent.
Ice tent. Okay, yeah, we're going to give away the whole book. But
yes, but I haven't read that in a few years, and like I say, that's just marked in my head. Anyway, Legends and Lattes.
Legends and Lattes.
It is about an orc. It's your typical D&D fantasy party, and an orc barbarian decides they don't want to do adventuring anymore, so they go to a big city and opens a cafe using a gnomish invention to steam. And I love the image. That was the cover of, because it was originally self-published and it did well that it got picked up by a publisher, and this was the cover of the self-published book. And when I saw that the professionally published book had this, I was like, oh no, it was such a lovely cover, but they put it on the end pages, and I'm you know what?
I love that.
and it's just everything's very low stakes. It's cute. I really hope that they end up together. I mean, I have no reason to suspect they will or won't. Maybe they will. I don't know. But
is it a queer romance?
Sorry,
Is it a queer romance?
it would if they were to get together. It would be. Yeah.
Okay.
That's how
Um,
it's advertised.
Is it? Okay. So I picked it up purely because I heard, low stakes, cozy.
I need that.
Yes.
I need that in my life.
And as I say,
Orcs and tieflings.
yeah, exactly. What could go wrong?
Yeah, you missed the story the other day about my D&D win. We'll talk off stream.
Oh yes. So I'm only, I think, 10 chapters in, 11 chapters in. Still got this to go, and I'm making it last. And I'm also dyslexic, so reading books takes forever anyway. But yeah, really can't wait to get involved.
Oh, welcome, superstars! Thanks
Yes.
for joining.
Please join us with the conversation about books we're reading, books we need to read, books that have inspired us, books that we love, etc. And on that topic, Erica, what are you currently reading?
Well, I'm currently reading. So I love gay romance novels, and I used to apologize for that, and I don't do that anymore because I have been reading something every single day for the last probably 3 years because I have finally found the thing that I love to read. So right now I'm reading something I got Kindle Unlimited because I kept buying books, and I would get like partway through them and like, I am like, I could do better than this, which is one of the reasons why I started writing, is because I knew I could write better than some of the things I was reading. But the last book that I read was it's the second book in this I guess it's not a series because he never finished it, but it's Crisped in Siri by TJ Klune. Crap. He self-published. So the first one was Withered in Sari, and then there was this one, and he self-published them, and they didn't get enough popularity, I guess. And so he never wrote the other two that were supposed to come afterwards. However, this has enough of a conclusion that it doesn't leave enough of it like a big cliffhanger. I can't do unfinished crap. Like I can't. My friends recently had us watch the first season of Arcane, and if you can't handle non-conclusions, do not watch it until the second season comes out, and only if there is a conclusion, because there was not a conclusion, and I was so angry that.
Oh, sorry. Side note. So this is by the same author who wrote The House in the Cerulean Sea.
Yes, and there's a second part coming out to The House in the Cerulean Sea.
I haven't read that either, but it looks very similar to this, just cute.
Yeah. So,
loving.
Erica, what was the show again? I need to add that to my watch list because Superstar says it's a good show as well.
Arcane.
Arcane. What streaming service is that on?
I think it's on Netflix.
Ah.
I have every single.
Yes, I've read it. I've watched Arcane. It's excellent.
I have every single one of TJ Klune's books, except for The Bones Beneath My Skin, which he is re-releasing with his new publisher in January of next year. And I have reread almost all of them. But anyway, back to this book. I had Withered in the Immemorial Years is what this series was called or is called. And I had them last in his catalog of books because they are not my genre. They are post-apocalyptic. Not my genre at all. I was like, I'm going to get through these because I have a tattoo. I have a very large tattoo that I'm getting kind of dedicated to all of his books because they mean that much to me. Like, his writing has changed. Like, I love all of it. And after I finished Crisp and Sari, I was like, why is there not more? Like,
Wow.
I and I probably, this book is 377. Oh no, hold on. That is a preview to, oh no, 377 pages. And I probably read it in 2 days. I could not put it
High
down.
praise.
Yeah, so even if I could not put it down, that would take me so long to read. I don't understand how I become an author, because reading is a job.
But basically the world goes into, there's nuclear war, and somehow I don't know if this was something that was going to get revealed later or what, but somehow some people survived, and so this follows the people who have survived. And one of the
Sorry, Erica, we just have to.
Hi, Ocelot.
Ocelot!
And we have got a new logo, and I've just realised we haven't put it up. I'm so sorry.
A new logo by who?
By somebody.
Robotsandmagic.com for all your graphic design needs.
Yeah, I was going to. Yeah, and look at it. Is that not the amazingest? So yes, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I worked hard on it. I wanted it to really reflect our collective vibes. And to anybody new who just joined us, we are talking about books we're reading, books we want to read, and books that inspired us to become writers. Dan's been linking things in the chat, and I will be following up with a quick blog on the website, robotsandmagic.com. So check that out if you want to not be furiously taking notes as we chat and go all over the place about books that we love.
And I apologize for eating online, but oh my god, I have mini donuts, and they'll be stale if they don't get eaten.
I think if you were going to eat anything on camera, the cutest thing you could eat is mini donuts. So I approve. And Erica's telling us about the post-apocalyptic book that she enjoys, despite the fact that post-apocalyptia is not her genre. And Superstars says, thinking about it, are not most stories pre-apocalyptic? Should we start categorizing? Should we start saying pre and post-apocalyptic?
I mean,
does that mean that there's a genre of story which is apocalyptic?
Yeah, that's Manny Fuego's Guide to Good Eats. That is my novella. That is in the process of apocalyptia.
Yes. Yes.
Is, the active putting down of the zombie apocalypse, but in a funny way that really centers the dysfunctional family. I am having the hardest time marketing that book. It's so weird. It's a weird book.
Zombie stuff? Don't think so, but it's gonna be cool.
What, Manny Fuego?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's zombie stuff.
What's
there's zombies. Yeah, I have my own zombie lore that I kind of wheeled out. The whole story focuses on an underachieving necromancer who comes from a long line of necromancers and sort of debunks some of the zombie myths and creates its own zombie lore. And it's not terribly gory and fighty. You'll see. It's coming out soon. These two are getting ARC reads. I am still getting a few ARC readers lined up, so if anybody's interested, they can email me at robotsandmagicconsulting@gmail.com.
Do it now.
And I won't get mad at you. I won't get internet mad at you if you sign up to be an ARC reader and then never say anything or do anything with it. It's fine, because we all have lives. It's cool. Okay, Erica was talking about Crisp and Sari. Final thoughts on that? Sounds good.
It's good. It does have It does have some sexy times in it. So
Oh no. How dare it also have sex?
so he has a young adult trilogy that is, I laughed out loud so hard I was crying.
Oh, wow.
Like,
That's the dream. As a writer,
And-
yeah.
yes. And the main character in that series has ADHD, so like my heart was his, like wrapped my anyway. And then so those don't have any like graphic sex. There's TJ really wanted to show healthy, lovely gay relationships, which I like, real gay relationships, which I love.
Mhm.
Like in all of the books, there's nothing like hardcore out, like they're all very loving, and I adore that, even when the sexy times like make you need a fan. But then House on the Cerulean Sea, Under the Whispering Door,
Tell you what,
and
Before we go into the other, let's just stick with the books we're reading, because we could. Yeah, I've just seen the time. I'm like, okay, let's.
Oh, Christ.
but so those don't have sex. Those don't have like explicit sex. That's all I was gonna say. Like
Because they're YA.
this
Yeah.
one, no, yeah, this one's got some.
Got some.
got some.
I'll add a spice
Got
warning to
some.
that, or a spice hooray.
It's spicy.
Spicy. And do you recommend others by this author?
All of them, every single one of his books.
Everything. I guess we need to make a column for love the author so much I got a tattoo dedicated to all of their work.
Yes.
I only have that for Final Fantasy VII. By TJ Clinton. All right, so I just finished a book, so I have a TBR pile a mile long, and I don't know what to start with. But I've got I have to finish the Foundation trilogy, which feels I know, it feels like homework, but it's my father's favorite book, and I finished the first book, and it was a real slog, and here's the thing. This thing could not pass the Bechdel test in its wildest dreams. And it's really hard for me to read books that are just so male-centric. So what I do when I read this book is I just randomly make people queer, trans, femme. Like I just assign, in my head, people are caramel and queer all over the place. So I have to read this, and I'm kind of not looking forward to it, which really sucks. So I'm trying to think of like what in my TBR pile I can grab to be like some balm on the wound. Like I have the whole, series of Philip Pullman books, his Dark Materials books that I need to read. So I don't know. I'll take recommendations between that and what else is in my TBR. I have too much crap in my TBR pile. None of it's here. Thank goodness. These are all books that I've read. But yeah, this is I'm like, I don't want to read it because it's just good. But it is, as my understanding is, it is to sci-fi what Lord of the Rings is to modern fantasy. So I don't know. We'll see. I just really want to be able to talk to my dad about his favorite book. So that's my goal. Finish this dang series.
Yeah, see, I found it just a bit too old. Just the style of writing is just a bit dry for my liking.
There's that in the fact that there is no one character that you really get to follow through the story, and my dad keeps telling me that that's a good thing and it's great, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm just very character driven when I read stories. I don't think that makes me a bad person.
No, it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. My reading list, my to be read pile is likewise endless and growing. A friend of mine, another RPG therapist who I spoke to, has just been raving about this, so I might have to bop this up.
Oh, yeah. Book Talk's darling.
Yes, and I needed to buy something from Amazon anyway, so I just added this so I got free shipping. Um, there were so many other books I should have got instead of this, but I was talking to her whilst I was ordering it, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll do that one then. I know nothing about it, but I do know that it's wild on the internet. So,
Yeah.
Is this romance?
I believe it's kind of everything, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a YA fantasy romance epic. I don't know. I have a feeling Ocelot may know. Maybe she'll chime in. But my sister-in-law just bought it too, and I intend to steal it from her when she's done with it, because I don't have a ton of book money, and my goal for 2024 is to buy more indie published stuff on Book Talk, and then put them in little free libraries so people can take them and read them. And
I should also side note. I'm also always reading RPGs of some kind. And currently I'm reading the Avatar Legends RPG because some other RPG therapists and I are going to be running this and hopefully discussing it and putting it up on YouTube. And I'm going to hopefully do that with several games, because I've got several games. So yes, hopefully. So I'm currently reading that. Just look at the character art. That is just a pre-generated character sheet. Look at it. They got the actual artists from the show to do the character sheets.
If I'm making a blank face, it's because I'm not in the Avatar fandom, but I love this for you.
Well, the reason I got this, oddly enough, wasn't because I'm in the Avatar fandom. Yeah, I like it, but I'm not. Ugh. But at the same time, there was a time when all of my clients, especially the young ones who wanted to do RPG therapy with me, wanted to play Firebenders. And then this came out, and it's like, okay, cool, let's just do that. Since I got it, nobody's wanted to play. It's just
Murphy's Law of
Sod's Law. Yeah,
everything.
It does look very. It's powered by the apocalypse. So, where are the blue people?
Different avatar.
Different Avatar. My husband said the same thing last night when I told him that you were playing that, and he was like, "Blue people," and I was like, "No, the Nickelodeon thing." He's like, "Okay."
I would be surprised if there is not a blue Avatar game in the works at some point.
Oh, Lord, spare us.
I want to say that there's a homebrewed one.
Oh, there'll be a 5e supplement the minute the film comes out. But yeah,
Didn't the second one already come out?
Yeah.
If you say so. This is the other one that I'm looking forward to reading.
Go Power Rangers. So to anybody who is new to the stream, Dan is a nerd. We're all nerds.
I was going to say, yeah, pot, this is kettle, you're black.
I'm just a nerd of a different stripe. I have rupee lights behind me.
From which?
From Zelda.
Yeah.
Because I like Zelda.
But yeah, so that's me at the moment. I would like to read some Flashman. I don't know if anybody's read any Flashman. So that's basically a historical comedy fiction, but really well researched. It's set in the 19th century, and it's so well researched that actually, so the conceit is that the author discovered the memoirs of this really famous general, and they were really super detailed, and he spoke about everything that he'd been involved in, and that the author was just editing them for publication. But they're so well researched that the story is, like, I don't know if it's true or not, a university in America contacted George MacDonald Fraser, who's the author, and asked them if they could see the original papers. And it's like, dudes, this is a fiction book. It's very clearly a fiction book. But very, very funny, just a cad who, what if you're dangling from a tree and somebody's on your leg, he won't try and pull you up, he'll try and kick you off so that you can. It's.
Oh man, Pet Grisha with the off-color jokes. I love it.
Yeah, you are not wrong.
He does seem like a bit of a tool. All right, let's move along. Erica, what's in your ever-growing TBR?
So my
Sorry, before you
goal.
do, it is indeed. It's more of a spin-off than fan fiction, I suppose, because it became its own thing. But yes, side note. Oh, sorry, Erica.
Side note to the side note.
Well, no, George MacDonald Fraser, the author, served in Burma during the Second World War. I have done some original research on Burma during the Second World War. I have written pieces about the Second World War in Burma. This is all Second World War in Burma, and yeah, and one of the best war memoirs, certainly to come out of that part of the war. But yeah, violent, very violent. I mean,
Wait, what is that? I'm going to get it for my dad.
It's called Quartered Safe Out Here by George MacDonald Fraser.
Got it.
And as you can see, it's thoroughly bookmarked.
All right, Erica.
Erica, sorry.
So I need to order it, but I can't remember where I need to find it from because I can't get it on Amazon. One of my very favorite fan fictions, the author actually reworked it somehow and published it. And so it's called Beneath the Stars by Lynn Charles. So that is a book that I really want to read because I think the fan fiction I read 5 times in a row, back to back to back. And I bawl my eyes out every single time I read it.
So by who, sorry? Emily McIntyre?
Lynn Charles.
Lynn Charles.
That is high praise. Something you can read back to back to back and still cry over.
Yes. So I want I'm interested to see how it's changed and if it translates. And I think it's just really cool that it started off as a fan fiction. Oh, okay. Well, maybe it is in Amazon. Well, that's even better. But the other goal that I have set for myself this year is to read, because I buy all of these books for work, and then I don't read them. I'm like, oh, this would be a really good book for me to read, and then it sits on my shelf. So
I never do that.
The book that I want to read next for work is What Happened to You. It's Bruce Perry and Oprah Winfrey. And I adore Bruce Perry. I think he is brilliant. And it's about trauma and resilience and healing and, crap that Dan and I deal with every day in our offices.
Indeed.
But from what I understand about that one is it seriously is just a conversation between the two of them, between Oprah and Dr. Perry, which I'm looking forward to because Dr. Perry is so brilliant that he sometimes talks over me and I can't understand what he's saying. So I'm hoping if it's a conversation he's having with another human and not writing a book, that it's layman's terms that normal people would be able to understand.
When I was in the mental health field, I had to ask so many times for people to just use plain language. Just use plain language. Mental health professional, and I think it can be like this in any profession. This is just where I was. Can get so jargony and so in it. And I remember there was this breaking point where I had a colleague who kept saying, let's have a generative conversation. And I kept saying, what does that mean? What does that mean? What do you, generative, generating what? Generative of, and she would just be like, just generate, no, I don't know what that means. Anyway, plain language.
Yeah.
Use it sometimes. But I think that would be a good way to temper it because, I think some people can get really, into their own world and words, and hopefully Oprah keeps them grounded with her Oprah-ness.
Well, and even, when my friend and I do our trainings with, teaching other therapists how to use D&D in therapy, we say Dungeons & Dragons has a language of its own, and my friend and I are both very versed in that language. And so if we say things that you don't understand, you need to stop us, because we will do our best to try and remember to define things. And we may, because this is just part of our everyday language. So
as a new player, I'm still learning the nuances of D&D and the language. And, you know, I didn't 6 months ago know what a saving throw was, or like, you know, simple stuff. Prestidigitation. Yeah, what's that?
best spell ever.
My friend used prestidigitation during our last session to put the taste of shit in my husband's mouth because his character was being a bit of a piss, and we loved it. And he was a sport about it too. He went with it. But
my favorite spell is Minor Illusion. I love Minor Illusion.
I've been using Hideous Laughter to my great benefit lately. It's Kevin's favorite spell. Anyway, that's
my character that I'm writing. One of her favorite spells is prestidigitation, and she finds lots of very utilitarian ways to use it that are not probably intended for it to be used.
Oh, in plain language for the uninitiated, prestidigitation is a cantrip, I believe, that you can use to just create a sensation for someone else. You know, a little visual sensation or a smell or the taste of shit in someone's mouth.
To clean.
See, I didn't know that one. And the delightful thing about D&D is the improvisation of it all. So, you know, you can find all kinds of different ways to use your little cantrip to just make play more fun.
So, what we're going to do now? Shall we look at the book that has inspired us?
Yes, I did bring one, and I'll try to make it quick. Goodness me!
Don't worry, we can go over. I've got nothing to do until 1 a.m.
Oh my goodness, I'm so worried about you.
I get to talk about Kamala Khan. It's worth it.
Fair enough. So the third piece we were going to talk about was books that inspired us to become writers, or books that we turned to. I don't have the first book in this series on my shelf because I actually gave it to a kid, but the Dragonlance Chronicles, I read these in middle school because I am an old. Speaking of Dungeons and Dragons, and you know, there are questions as to whether or not it's a well-written series, yada yada. This blew my little 14-year-old mind. Like, it's so interesting. There's an ensemble cast. It follows, I mean, the writers actually played D&D and wrote their adventure into the book. Yeah. I think they made some changes, like, editorially, because like a character died and they were like, no, we don't need that character. But it's a 3-part series because I don't recognize Dragons of Summerflame. I own it, and I only kept it for posterity. But it's a really great book, and you know, a really wonderful introduction to fantasy worlds. And you know, I still think it's fairly well written, given that it's got a cast of like 15 people, and it's following it. I mean, I think it's more common now, but at the time it was like, it's a book about Dungeons and Dragons, and it's using. I believe it was meant actually to. Yep, I've got it. Get people interested in the world of Krynn.
I think it might be the other way around. I think they wrote the novel and then created the supplements afterwards. I could be wrong.
I don't know. But yeah.
In fact, they've recently had issues with not Games Workshop, Wizards of the Coast. Because they were going to write some new stuff, and I think Wizards messed them around, or something like that.
I don't know. Wizards of the Coast has had some tricky stuff. This is such a cool book. I should just read this. I'm putting this in my TBR pile. I'm just going to read an advanced Dungeons and Dragons manual for funsies.
Yeah. I good. Join the club. So what about it? What was it about Dragonlance that inspired you so much?
It had a little bit of everything. You know, it had apologies, it's my other alarm. has romance, it has adventure, it has this ensemble cast, it has humor, it has darkness, it has betrayal. Like, it does a lot, and it's an adventure story that goes, from one place to another. And like I said, I think nowadays it's like a really common story structure, but in the 90s it wasn't as common to have access to that kind of stuff in high fantasy adventure. So there's it would go from like them wandering and talking to just this intense battle from everyone's different perspectives. And it was the first book I read where somebody died, so that was kind of intense. Yeah, I was like shocked when that happened, and not ready for it. And yeah, the intense romance of it all and the love triangle. Yeah, a little bit of something for everybody.
Have you read the R.A. Salvatore, any R.A. Salvatore books?
Mm-mm.
He's probably the big name in D&D writing right now. His main character, I will not be able to pronounce his name properly, but it's Drizzt Do'Urden, which is a dark elf ranger. Gets some really good covers. I'm not a big fan of his writing personally, but he's really done well for himself. So worth looking at. And how does Dragonlance influence your writing today? Does it, or is it just something that kind of made you want to go down that road?
I think it was just, I remember reading it and then being like, yes, I want to write my own story like this. I think I've grown out of it, as I've gotten older, and I see some of the cracks in the foundation, but I want to write something that feels that lived in, that world of Krynn, like, definitely felt like a real place, and the stakes felt intense and interesting to watch this group of friends become like a famous group of friends and split up and fight a war and like lose people. I think it set the foundation for me as a writer, as a fantasy writer especially. But it's hard for me to turn back to it like as an adult and point to one specific thing now that I'm thinking about actively, if that makes sense. I just want it to be like engrossing. I just want that's something I find funny as people start to, as I've run into adults who are like, yeah, those books aren't actually that well written. I'm like, yeah, but you loved them. They were fun, weren't they? Like, it doesn't, yeah.
Twilight?
I don't have the Twilight series on my bookshelf. I don't know what you're talking about.
Not well written, and was obsessed with
Yeah, they're terrible, but like, they're so fun. Which just goes to show you that, like, you can be a great writer and still tell a bad story.
Or you can be a bad writer and tell a good story. More to the point. From
yeah.
Oh, is Erica still there? Erica's
starting to cut out.
Jerking around.
Oh, am I here now? Okay.
Yeah.
Everything was frozen.
Yeah. Still are.
You're a little bit choppy.
Yeah.
So Dan.
So probably the most influential / formative book for me was The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell, or pretty much anything Bernard Cornwell. I have 2 shelves of Bernard Cornwell books. This is a historical fiction retelling of the King Arthur story, and this was the book that made me realize that the kind of thing I wanted to write exists. It was largely about battles and fighting, and everything was frenetic and using all the senses. You could hear and smell the fighting, and it made me realize, that's cool, I want to do that. Whereas previously, I was that kid who always got told to read his stories to the class. So I was going to become a writer anyway. I knew that. It was just part of it. Was something that I took for granted. But Cornwall made me realize that actually what I was writing was sellable. and I still go back and read some of the fight scenes in here. If I'm stuck in the middle of something, I'll go back. Oh yeah, how did Cornwall handle something like that? And then just read through that. Oh, okay, yeah, I could just do that. Usually it involves a kick in the bollocks, you know. But yes, I'm a huge sucker for King Arthur anyway, and Cornwall is just he's if not my favorite author, certainly tied as my favorite author.
Mm. And how old were you when you first read that?
When did it come out? Because when I first tried to read it, I was a bit too young.
Sure.
It came out in '95, so I would have been 12 when it came out, and it was too grown up for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of languished on my shelf for a few years. I tried reading it again, didn't really work for me. Then I picked it up, thought, well, I got to read it or get rid of it. I read it, like, oh my god, this is it. You know,
sounds like it sort of belongs in the same world as The Mists of Avalon.
Kind of, but we don't talk about The Mists of Avalon because Marion Zimmer Bradley was a sexually abusive.
No.
Yes.
Oh.
She covered up for her husband who abused their daughter, and she abused her daughter as well. I have only ever destroyed one book, and it was Mists of Avalon, because I wasn't going to read it, and I didn't feel comfortable passing it on for somebody else to read it, which is a shame because the covers were lovely. But yet, no, it's such a letdown that such an important figure like that.
Yikes!
Yeah, it's appalling.
So
we don't condone that.
No, she went the way of NaNoWriMo. Yeah, I lent that to a friend quite a while ago, and that friend and I are no longer friends. So, good riddance to bad rubbish, I suppose.
Why? Why?
Why am I not friends with this person anymore? Oh, she didn't respect my personal boundaries as far as.
Oh, as in you never got it back. Sorry. I was...
Oh, yeah. So I remembered after the fact that she had my copy of Fallout 4 and my copy of The Mists of Avalon, and I was like, no love lost. Yeah. No love lost. Yeah, it's okay to leave a friendship behind if it is not serving you and is toxic and makes you feel like a bad person. Yeah. Gotta respect boundaries, people.
So that's me. I mean, we spoke the other day, you and I, Amber, about Narnia and how Narnia was the series that made me enjoy reading, because prior to that, reading was just work. You know, yeah. It was my sister read because she enjoyed reading, and so there was like, oh, I'm not doing that. It's her thing. But also it just didn't inspire me. I read Chronicles of Narnia, and all of a sudden I became obsessed with fantasy maps.
Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe was one of it's. I read that when I was a kid too, and I was just like, this is such a. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Couldn't get through the rest of the books, but you know. Erica.
Sorry, we just got a call that school's canceled for tomorrow. Like they're calling school off at 4 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, maybe that's bad.
Oh no, it'll be fine. But I'm wondering if I will make it to my office tomorrow to see clients. So mine was not a book. I read fan fiction every single day from like sometime in it's actually Thanksgiving. I don't know why I remember this exactly, but Thanksgiving of like 2016, for years and years and years, I would read fan fiction every single day of like my fandom. And then in 2019, December of 2019, our fandom every December did an Advent where they would every day they would post a word, and you could write a it was better if like you wrote a multi-chapter story. And I came across this prompt and I was like, oh my God, I have a story. And so in 2019, I started writing fan fiction. And that was the start of my writing. I didn't finish the challenge until the beginning of January, just because I didn't start until, a week or two in. But I was just looking, 48 fan fictions that I wrote. How many words? My total word count is 565,243 words of fan fiction. And then
is that all?
When I get inspired, like it goes. It goes. And then hi Kraken.
Kraken, welcome back.
He's been promoted. No longer he's blue. He's now the captain.
Captain Kraken.
Yeah. Thank you for coming along, joining us.
Hero.
The gang's getting back together.
We're doing it.
And then, oh gosh, what was it? For Nano of 2020, I got this crazy idea to start writing our D&D session, and now
history.
Now I don't know how many words in are we? Hold on, let me go look. 471,577 words in. We are still trucking along, getting all of those books written.
Erica's our classic underachiever, as you can see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Kraken, you know this person, this Arnold person. There's reunions happening in the chat.
Yeah.
You see the Monday stream.
So which book was it you were talking about, Erica, or was this just it was inspired by?
It wasn't anything in particular. I found a prompt.
What was the fan fiction you mostly wrote?
I wrote for Glee. And it was Kurt and Blaine. It was Kurt and Blaine fan fiction. So I'll tell you the prompt, because that was really what got me. That was what it was.
Arnold says they know most people. That's fair. I don't know anybody.
Do I? I guess I don't. So this is the summary, and this was basically the prompt. While on vacation to a city he's never been to, Kurt Hummel finds himself in a place that he recognized from his dreams. The person he always sees in those dreams is there too, and they spot him and ask, "Is it really you?" Like, that was the prompt. And I was like, ooh, idea. And that story ended up being 62,000 words that I wrote, with a daily word being my guide.
That is so different. Like I feel like that came across like a backhanded compliment.
No, they're like, for me, writing those challenges was my favorite way to write. To have absolutely no idea where anything was going, what was coming, and I could just whatever my muse came up with, that's where it went.
Mm-hmm.
And then piecing crap together, that is how I write the best. But there are other people who struggle, who don't do the challenges in the fandom that I was in. They're like, no, this is insane. This is crazy. How can you do this? I don't have any control over the words that you're choosing.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
thrived on it.
I was classically writing crap for my fantasy book in my room in high school, but never got into reading and writing fan fiction. And then like here you are, like fan fiction was your bread and butter, and now you're striking out on your own, doing your own original work. And it's like it's just I'm seeing so many people online lately who are just giving this like absolutist like advice about how to start writing and how to be just all of it. And in our conversations, it's just so clear that like that kind of stuff is so bad. Like just everybody has different things that worked for them. You know, you were really inspired by prompts. Other people found it stifling. Like I can't write fan fiction to save my life because like I just can't. I want to try, but I just I don't know. It's just wild. So I like that a lot.
My advice is find a show or characters that they fucked up so horribly that you need to fix it.
Yeah, I've only ever thought about doing one fanfic. I started planning it but just never bothered because I had other stuff to do. I think I was at uni at the time. But yeah, that was for Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Destiny, which I'm sure nobody will listen. But it started off really well, and then they brought back some of the old characters from the previous series and just let them be the main characters of the new series and forgot about the original main characters. And it was like, no, stick with the old characters. They were cool.
Yeah.
But,
and I think that's one of the things about fan fiction is like you write what you want to see. Or I mean, my friend and I, before I kind of stopped writing, we wanted to go through the entire show of Glee and fix it. Like basically rewrite the entire series.
I fell off of Glee after like the 3rd season, so I don't know where it went and why, but I believe you.
I don't know what Glee is, so I'm just
Glee's delightful. Like I will defend Glee.
There's a lot of really good stuff, and there is a lot that they did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Did wrong and could have done a lot better. But for its time, it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, I had like gay stuff on TV when that was still a thing, like that people were like, "Oh no, gay stuff!" Like you know, it was.
Yeah, I mean, in Kurt and Blaine, like those are my characters, and like so.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm just seeing the comment about writing a story where Danny Phantom joins assassins from Assassin's Creed.
What's Danny
crossovers.
It's in crossovers. And I have 2 fan fictions actually that I wrote from a video game. So 46 of my fanfics are, did I say 48? Is that how many I've written? Crap, no, I can't remember. I can't remember what I said. Yeah, 48. So 46 are from Glee, and then 2 are from the Horizon Zero Dawn Forbidden West video game.
So Erica, okay, I'm gonna show my age here. Back when I was reading fan fiction, the place to go was fanfiction.net, which has been lovingly referred to as the pit of fools by one of my favorite bloggers.
No, Superstar, we completely believe you. Don't worry. Yeah,
of course you didn't write that.
We would never accuse you of doing
No, that's vicious libel, and we will not have it here on the stream.
So when I was posting, I was still posting on fanfic.net because I had some people who only read there. However, their site was so incredibly clunky and a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But so Archive of Our Own is the place. A lot of young people read on Wattpad.
Fan fiction on Wattpad.
But it is not quality. And I have actually had people, even though I'm not writing, like reach out to me on Tumblr telling me that they have found my stories published other places that other people are like saying they. So then I have to contact and I'm like, this is not theirs, this is mine.
Yeah.
And so that's an issue with fan fiction. But then, it can be really cool because I know of at least 3 of the Kurt Blaine stories that have been published, like names changed and have been published.
It's interesting. I feel like 50 Shades of Grey really opened the door for that and made it more acceptable for people to do that. I have my own feelings about that. They kind of go back and forth. Like, I don't know. It's another discussion for another day. But I think, yeah, if you change it enough, like, it's your own thing. You're headcanoning it. You're doing the heavy lifting.
Well, and depending on, so there are a couple, there's actually one story that it was a series that I was going to write.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be a 9-part series, and I wrote the first 2. And the only things that are Glee about it are their names. Like, that's it. And so the idea of it, I think, is really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking about taking them off of archive and I want to rework them because I think that's going to be my first foray into that realm.
Like self-publishing or?
Yes. Well, not necessarily, but like into the mail. So because my fantasy series and those books are going to be separate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to pseudonym for reasons.
I feel that.
Mostly because of my job.
Yeah, that makes sense. People don't want to. You don't have people to Google you and then be like, "What is this?" Because we don't live in a beautiful world where you can do both under the same name, which is annoying. I was going to finish my thought about fan fiction becoming published just by saying, like, from my own perspective, if someone wrote fan fiction about my story using my characters and my ideas and then changed just enough and published it, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
I would be pissed. And like, I think it's different when it's like a big giant television show and who cares, but like, I felt like 50 Shades of Grey should not have happened. And not to say that I think Stephenie Meyer needs the money or that they're bad books. I just think at its core, I disagree with it because at that point, it's like, how much of my intellectual property are you taking before you change it and make it something sellable? Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, Mickey Mouse, you can steal from Disney all you want. I don't care.
Well, no, but also Mickey Mouse is now public domain. Well, the original incarnation of him is public.
Is he? Because I know Disney kept changing the rules so that they didn't ever have to give their crap to public domain.
No, it came in 4th of January, something like that. It's only been a week or so.
Like, it's been pretty recently.
Yeah. Good. Given that they steal all their crap from, folk tales.
Well, but again, that's not stealing. That's just repurposing. The number of authors who've
that's where we get into the weeds, because there are plenty of stories that riffed on Shakespeare, and Clueless classically is a take on Emma. Yes. But yeah, I would be really upset if someone took my fantasy story, wrote a big old fan fiction about it, got a bunch of traction, and then went, you know what I'm going to do? Make a bunch of money on this.
I'm going to change the names, and yes, it's all mine.
Yeah, that's the part where, because I put blood, sweat, and literal tears into my story, and I don't want. And again, this is not boo fan fiction. It's just a thing that I've thought about since 50 Shades of Grey happened. Because it's like you say that and still people don't know that it was originally a Twilight fan fiction.
Dan Olson,
I've never seen 50 Shades. I know generally what it's about, but
I haven't read it.
It's terribly. I tried reading it once. I got about 2 sentences into the first paragraph. My God, this is terrible. I cannot read this, and just put it back on the shelf in the charity shop.
Charity shop. Someone gave it away.
Yeah,
Like, no, I don't need this.
there is a fantastic channel on YouTube called Folding Ideas. It's hosted by a bloke named Dan Olson. He did a 3-part series about 50 Shades of Grey, because he's a film, not critic, but he mostly looks at screenplays and editing and production and stuff. And he did some very good jokes about it, and just went through the whole bullshit of how 50 Shades of Grey came about.
I'm here for the bad jokes.
Perfect, yeah.
It brings up like a moral argument or an ethics argument, and I don't, I think that there are plenty of people who would tell me that I'm a dumbass and that you can take whatever you want and rework it and yada yada. So I just I forget where I was going with this, other than that. When I publish my book, if you write fan fiction about it, you better not try to make it your own thing, because I'll find you. I'll be internet mean to you. I don't know.
Let me just find the video, because it's a 3-part series, and it's very funny. And where is it? There we go. It's called the first one is A Lukewarm Defense of 50 Shades of Grey, and that's because he contests that as a film production, the first film is actually not bad. It's well produced, the script's okay, etc. But then Erica Mitchell, the author, apparently lost her shit and took over pretty much everything. And but by all accounts, Erica Mitchell is a thoroughly unlikable individual. I could be wrong, but she strikes me as the kind of person who would take somebody else's IP, rebrand it, and use it as her own.
So in playing devil's advocate, I think what she took were the character dynamics, really, and then wrote her own. I don't know. I want to change my mind about this, because I feel like I'm biased, but like I said, if it ended up being my story that somebody did that with, I would be upset.
Yeah, absolutely. And
not like from a money perspective, just from a that's my stuff.
Yeah.
That I invented in my brain, but then I drew inspiration from all the other stuff that I've read throughout my life. Yeah. So then, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a difference between inspiration and plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I think if Erica took Glee stories and made them into their own thing, I don't see that as the same thing as taking a book and,
Well, and I'm even thinking about the what the idea that I have, and it is literally the characters' names. And the thing that I love, and my husband has been asking me this for the whole time I've been writing fan fiction, why don't you change their names and publish them? And I've always told him the same thing, is because they have a fan base. I don't have to say who Kurt and Blaine are. I don't have to describe Kurt and Blaine. I don't have to say anything about them, because the people who are reading those stories know who Kurt and Blaine are. And so when I start telling a story about Kurt and Blaine, everyone knows who they are. And I don't know if that's making any sense, but
no, it totally makes sense.
And so the stories that the 2 that I would rework, I would have to do some background, some these are who these people are, and I would have to make all that up, and I have ideas of who I want them to be and where they've come from and everything. And this is a fantasy. It's a very interesting premise, but I'm not going to get into it right now. But it is just the what is it, the costume, basically. It's the costume that they're wearing, but I've given them everything underneath.
Right. That makes sense to me.
It's not who they are, who they were in the show. I've given them everything underneath. It's just this is the face that they're wearing.
Right. No, I think that's valid. Like I said, I think that there's room for both sides of that argument, and like.
Now, if I was just completely taking scene by scene,
Like
changing
Glee.
the names, Ryan Murphy would come after me, and
Yeah.
he would be well within his, like, very much so. And then I'm going to say one more thing, and then I'm going to shut up for a little bit. After my fantasy books are out and everything, I am keeping my fingers crossed that somebody writes fan fiction about my character and her husband. Like, that will be the ultimate praise, is if somebody writes fan fiction about the two of them, and like, that will make me so happy.
And I will say, like, I look forward to the days of, like, maybe my book is famous enough that people want to write fan fiction about it. Like, I am super pro fan fiction, and that is a dream come true, right? Like, people making art and making up their own stories. Like, they love it so much that they just want to create more. That is amazing. And to the point of, like, writing fan fiction and then being inspired to make your own story out of it, I do think there needs to be room for people to be able to do that, because I think a lot of people discover writing through fan fiction writing, and they realize that, like, they can do it. You know, it's like, it's not as daunting because you have the character there. You know, it's like a D&D pre-made character. Like, this person likes these things and dislikes those things, and there you go. And you're already familiar with how they speak. And so it's like, I as a way to access writing, I think it's fantastic. I do think we as a community need to figure out, like, what the line is.
Yes.
Especially just as, like, an indie author. It terrifies me that someone could just, like, rip off my IP. But at the same time, if it's good enough, I guess, and it could stand on its own 2 feet. So anyway, we got really off topic there, but that was fun. I have to get back to the real world in a few minutes. Does anybody have any final thoughts about books that inspired them and books they're reading and how big their TBR piles? Does anybody in the chat have anything they want to add about TBR piles that are a mile wide?
Yeah, I think this is a topic that we need to revisit.
Fan fiction?
Well, fan fiction definitely, but also just books, that, because, you know, the book we're reading will change because we'll be reading different books. Our to be read pile, I don't have a to be read pile. You know,
to be read mountain.
Indeed, or a to be read death trap. It's going to kill me one day because something's just going to land on top of me, and yeah. But also, you know, the whole inspiration. As I say, there's more than that. We didn't talk about Earthsea today. We need to talk about Earthsea or something.
I didn't bring up Tamara Pierce, which it could be its own episode.
You know, we need to do this again. And obviously, Gary and Jen aren't here, so we need to do it with them. So yeah, let's.
Absolutely. We'll come back to this topic, and if you're in the chat and you were taking furious notes, thank you. And there will be a blog up on robotsandmagic.com either later today or tomorrow morning, depending on how the rest of my day goes. So I have a 5-year-old, and life is unpredictable.
And I think maybe also included, maybe like in the book discussion, like a character.
Oh, next time we got to talk about characters. Maybe that's next Monday.
Maybe.
Like just a, like, yeah, because there are some. Now, like, the one I want to talk about just came to my, like, oh yeah.
Leave it, and we'll talk about it next week.
I'm
all right. Join us next Monday to learn about the character that got Erica all excited.
Cliffhanger. And
leave them wanting more.
Yeah. On that note, everybody, thank you for joining us. It's late, so I need to go and get coffee because otherwise I'm going to fall asleep before my panel.
You could take a disco nap.
But if I go and nap, I won't wake up. And oddly enough, for the I did a panel with the same organization as Continual, the Con That Never Ends, and one of the ones I did a few weeks ago just went live on Facebook, talking about winter romance and how to write winter romance. So,
would you like to drop a link in the chat so that those of us on this side of the pond can watch you at 1 a.m.?
That is not necessarily a bad idea.
It's actually a good idea. You would think I was a creative marketing consultant.
Possibly.
Does anybody need creative marketing consulting? I am open for business as of this week.
I believe that is it there. So it's on Facebook. It's continual. The comment never ends, and you can watch me talk about writing cozy winter romance.
I'm here.
You can also find me at the RPG Therapist on YouTube and at Monmouth Counseling if you need an RPG therapist to roll dice and do crazy shit with.
Or if you're a therapist and you want to talk with Dan live on his YouTube about RPGs and therapy.
Indeed. And as I say, soon we'll be playing Avatar Legends and discussing the therapeutic values thereof. So I'll let you know when that's off.
All right, I am at Robots and Magic wherever you get your internet. I'm a baby Twitch streamer, so if you want to come find me playing Final Fantasy VII Remake and other junk like Fallout 4, that's where I am. And if you have need of creative marketing consulting, I am open for business this week at robotsandmagic.com. Print media, logos, TikTok 101. Let me help you. That felt yucky. I don't like doing that.
I know, it's loathsome, isn't it? But
hire me.
Look at that logo. Look at it.
Look at that logo.
You
So
know,
you could have a fancy new logo. Do you need a new logo? Do you need a business card? You just need a nice person to talk to about your internet marketing strategy.
And Erica, how about yourself?
I actually figured out how to change my YouTube channel name. So I am RPG Play Therapy on Twitch and YouTube. I am planning to do something for Play Therapy Week, which is February, the second week of February. I don't know what yet, but I'm going to do something. And if you are in Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, or Massachusetts and need therapy, I am ericawalkertherapy.com.
There you
Because
go.
I can do therapy in those places. And I do the nerd therapy like Dan does.
Nerd therapy for nerds.
And heads up, on the 28th of January, Erica and I, as well as a couple of other friends, Brian Scott and Danny Danny Welch, will be discussing RPGs and therapy on YouTube and the Geek Therapy Community Facebook page. So
we're a busy group of humans. We're all over the internet. Come find us. We're fun. Thanks for joining us today.
thank you. And lovely discussing books as of with you guys. And join us next Monday for more mayhem on the International Writers Fellowship. Take care.